What's happening, everyone? Waleed from Moscow Hooker here. We'll get straight into it. I'm going to give you an introduction. We're going to be talking about MustHave tobacco and the Fluff underpack, Alamy, UPK, underpacking, whatever you want to call me. The UPK way. That's how we're going to be doing MustHave today. A lot of call for this because get asked all the time, why don't you do these tutorials on Instagram more, mate? Every time I do it, the account goes down. I've got to start from scrolling again, and mashallah, it's been a year, and it's not been taken down as yet. So I like to keep it that way. So a bit of a backstory to MustHave. I've been smoking it for about 2 years. Started off with a Fluff Severe underpack. Tamed the tobacco, but felt like I was vaping. If I'm being honest, the session it didn't last too long because you're not using too much, and that was in the mini ruck. Not bad. Taste the flavour. My first experience of Pinkman. I enjoyed it for the most part, but then again, definitely scope for improvement. What I then did was, it's a funnel, it's dark leaf, let's try semi-densing and raising the underpack to 2 or 3 mil just under the rim. Definitely improved, but still a bit too coarse. Got a bit more of the flavour, the clouds were a bit hindered. But again, I thought it was quite a cool smoke, it wasn't for me. So then, based on that, I thought between the two, probably keep to a fluff pack, but let's try raising it to the rim now, see if that helps. Unfortunately, it didn't. It's not bad, and to be honest, I do fluff to the rim on occasion these days, depending on what bowl I'm using and what method of heat management I'm employing. But my first experience with that pack was again a bit too coarse. I felt that the smoke was not as plumy, or I don't know what the best word to use is, but it wasn't thick, dense clouds like I thought MustHave would be capable of. Because every time I had these sessions, I thought, not great, but there is definitely something here. And so keep at it, and I did. And well, I'm glad I did, because it became one of my favourite brands, and I landed on what I felt was the kind of happy medium, which was keeping it into a fluff state, because again, MustHave, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's very gloopy stuff, so it's made with this sort of glycerin, it's very jammy, and I mean, I think it behaves like a thickener, because what I've noticed is that when you pack MustHave, no matter how low you pack it, it will slightly rise. So with that in mind, I thought the best way to accommodate that is to keep to a fluff state so that there's pores in the tobacco that the air can circulate in and out of, and keeping it 2-3 mil under the rim, so the tobacco is heated by way of convection. And I think that was the best way to smoke MustHave, and it still is today. So with that in mind, I thought, what's the best bowl to smoke this stuff in? Probably something that's deep. This stuff takes heat like a champ, so something that fits the provost ideally. So even if it's that efficient on the heat transfer, doesn't matter, works a charm. So it's after the event, but this bowl has been around for a long time, the Alpaca Surrey. But it is tailor-made for this tobacco and this particular pack method, in my opinion. I've been doing this for coming into 2 years now on this particular brand, and I still enjoy it today. I mean, the first time you do it, and the first few months, you're wowed by it. And I suppose I have gotten used to it, but you still go back to it and think, yeah, this is really, really good stuff, and you can appreciate it more. And I think this pack's worked a treat on it. So I'm gonna readjust the camera and I'll show you guys how. So here we have a close-up of the Alpaca Surrey, everyone. As you can see, it's got this nice convex dome shape to it, no sharp corners within the trench. Spire, it's 2-3 mil, so that'll be a guide for us really in terms of where to pack it in terms of height. But the pack's really straightforward. It's especially with this bowl, the fact that it fits the Provost flush, has all the hallmarks and characteristics I want. So yeah, so as you can see, guys, you've got a bit of a close-up of MustHave there. Now, some people, they pack with their hands. Now, I don't personally do that. Not because, there was always the argument of natural oils of your hands and distorting the tobacco. For me, it's more, it's so gloopy. And it's not even I don't want to make a mess, it's just I find that because of how sticky it is, it's very difficult to get this stuff for me is caviar, and I don't want any of it to go to waste, and I find that I waste less tobacco packing it using a fork or a poker. Now, historically, I'd always use a fork, but as you can see, you're taking a lot of tobacco, and then you're going to have to put it in here and then fluff it out. So I think a far more efficient way of actually getting this stuff decanted into the trench is just to use a poker. So again, make sure everything's homogeneous in terms of the juice and in terms of the leaf, and I'm literally just going to drop it in and then readjust it. So the idea being, on this that we are just covering the bottom of the trench and packing it to a height which works out to be about 2-3 mil, but this is our kind of level here. So as you guys can see, there's the spire, and as I'm putting the tobacco in, I'm going to readjust it so that it's all grouped together. There aren't too many gaps, but there is enough porosity there to keep it in as fluffy state as possible, because MustHave is inherently a dense tobacco. It's if you pack it in and it's got a kind of natural density, it'll probably be like a normal pack, maybe even a heavy normal. So I like to get it in and work backwards. A lot of people, obviously, when we're packing stuff to a higher density, we're fluffing it in just above the rim and denting it down. This is kind of backwards in that regard. You're taking it in, and then, you know, if you need to separate it out by means of a poker, you do poker rather, then you do so. As you guys can see, again, it's not falling in exactly where I want it, so again, it's just easier to use a poker if using a fork. It's a bit too wide to fit into the trench, so I just find it easier, and then you get every individual leaf in its right spot. Just rotating it. It's not an angle that I'm used to packing this, so bear with me, guys. And again, see there, it's a bit clumpy there, so I'm just effectively stabbing it with my poker. Does the job. And then we've just got this final third. See, now there's not too many stems in MustHave generally. I'm not really a big, it doesn't bother me as much as other people. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to put it back in, because to be honest, I don't mind them, and I'll smoke it on another occasion. The odd stem is not going to distort your session, it'll be fine. And I'll give MustHave its due, although it is very glycerin heavy, the cut's actually decent. It's a lot better than a lot of its Russian counterparts. Yeah, put a bit too much in there. UPK does not like too much tobacco. But I think in terms of actual quantity, we're there. Just a case of readjusting it. Right, whilst I readjust it, I'll kind of explain how this works. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's about 2-3 mil under the rim. Show you guys how I perforate the foil. So idea being is that we've obviously got this tobacco. Just gonna poke into the tobacco. As you can see, there's clear gaps in there, so it's in a good fluffy state, which is ideal. If you're packing with your hands, you lose a lot of the glycerin, you lose a lot of the juice. That makes MustHave what it is, and I'm not really one for that. Getting out and mixing in and losing a lot of it's just not ideal. You want to retain as much of that as possible. So the idea being is that the hot air is obviously going to come in, it's going to penetrate these pores within the tobacco because of the fluffy state that it's in. It's then going to circulate within the top, so there's a good 2-3 mil there. And the result, from my experience, has always been good longevity, big, flavoursome, fluffy clouds, which is what you want, and MustHave is definitely capable of that. Right, I'm going to show you guys how I perforate the foil, poke holes, and guys, so yeah, foiling. I mean, I use either 320, this is 320 is what it looks like, a lot of us are familiar with it in the UK. People clown on it, I think it's decent. Zomo, extra strong, also does the job. I gravitate, to be honest, I alternate between the two, no big deal. But yeah, a single sheet of HD foil does the job. So for those that struggle with foiling, I think the best way to see it is, think of a mattress, bed sheet, and how you're kind of gripping a corner or a side of it, and then you're folding the other side over. See that? And you're trying to get as many of these creases out as possible. And that's pretty much done. See, that bit I can kind of address now. So there is going to be a second, or re-wrap, because after we've poked our holes, it's going to basically reduce the level of the of the foil, and it's going to lead to drag, and we definitely don't want drag because then it's no longer an underpack really. So yep, that's how we're doing that. So I have a fairly, another thing, maybe you can kind of run your finger around just to make sure you've got a guide. You don't want to be poking into the walls. Again, not necessary, but maybe a tip for some people that might benefit from it. So usual sort of hole pattern. I'll go for this needle to begin with, and I'm doing sort of 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, rotate and do the exact same thing. So there's going to be 2 rows of 8, and again you alternate, so kind of have it this way, and then again 12, 6, 3, 9, same again here. I know people that are a lot quicker and they just stab. I like to get these as evenly distributed as possible, so a bit of TLC and time doesn't kill anybody, in my opinion. And some people, they like to smoke this way. I do like a bit of restriction, but I think what you then can do is add a few more holes if you wish, just to make sure there's even distribution of heat, and a bit more airflow into the bowl, because airflow does aid this pack, but too much makes it vapey. So I think this is going to be a nice balanced draw doing it this way. I'm going to use this sort of narrower poker, because again this is a personal preference, and I'm just going to fill the gaps here, 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 just in between the outer 8, so you end up with 16. My personal view, do you need the central hole? Not really, because again this is where you want all the heat to be focused on, and you don't want any air dispelling from the centre. But you know what, I'll put a little one in for good measure, because people are used to it. It's not going to make a massive difference, but yeah, that's kind of how it looks. So like I said, as you can see, the level of it's passable, to be honest. You can get away with that, it shouldn't be an issue, but let's make it as drum tight as possible, because if you've got big lungs and you're going to drag this, it's just going to make things not great. So we'll go again. Now the foil is formed, so this rewrap is just a doddle. Oh, yeah, here we are. And then, don't want to be too graphic or extreme with my terminology, but you're basically choking the bowl at this point, and you need to, because there isn't too much of a step on this bowl in terms of this part here, so you need to make sure this bit is as tight as possible. Just running my finger around. Yeah, and there we have it. That's a underpacked foiled Surrey. I suppose what people like is they like to have trims. I'm not that fussed. I'm not that accurate. A lot of people out there, a lot neater than I am, because I've got big hands, bro, and I'm definitely not an aesthetics guy, as you guys can probably tell. So just literally do that, fold it out on the outside, make sure this out bit is retained as much as possible, do that, and again do that, and then these corners here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just again wrapping it in. I mean we've done that and it's kind of distorted here. But that looks okay to me. Yeah. We're going to spark this up now. See you guys. Okay guys, back again. We've got the coals heated up. Let me just get them on and I'll explain what I'm doing. So, one coal here with the Provost. Another one there. Nice and cherry red, how we like them. I'm using One Nation 26s. Been doing so for a long time now. They still hold up and give a nice moderate amount of heat, which is good for most stuff. Now, what do you do with this now? This is the great thing about the Provost, because it's really tailored to your preference. I'm not one for, he smokes too hot, he doesn't smoke hot enough. You smoke to your preference. Me personally, I like to do this. You can see that there's obviously one side of the cover on the tray, and then the other one of the coals resting. But yeah, I don't mind doing this for now, because because some people might enjoy that. It needs a lot of heat, this method, with that gap, but then again I think an element of low and slow also works, so I think that one's a good place to start. So we'll give that a few minutes just to get it to temperature, and we'll give it a soak. And like I said, patience is the key with this method, and it works. That's it. So we've got the Hoob Mars bronze, which I've been after for a year. Recently got this week, and it has lived up to its billing. I've got it on the shorter stem setting just to accommodate this video, so I can keep sat down. Makes my life a bit easier. But it's a great neutral draw rig. The finish is stunning. Definitely lives up to its Supreme Series billing, as Hoob like to call it. This is just a good neutral draw rig, which I've had my side set on for a long time now. Just love the ornate kind of aesthetic it's got. Nice throwback to more traditional rigs, but definitely not traditional in the way that it's machined and assembled. This heart alone weighs 1.3 kg. It is not the way it has any impact on how the thing smokes, but definitely gives it a nice premium feel. So I'll go into a bit more detail with my initial observations of this rig on my Instagram, so please check that out if you wish. And in terms of the entire setup, whether it's Apple on top Provost, Alpaca Surrey, and the Hoob Mars and Hoob products in general, Kakis and Shisha Gear are official distributors for all three brands in the UK. And you can have access to these great products, and you can save a bit off. There's a 10% discount code for each of those guys. It's, I believe, Moscote at Kakas and Moscote 10 by Shisha Gear. So if you're interested in any of these products or any other quality products that these guys may have stock of, then by all means check them out, use the discount code, save a bit of money, and you will not be disappointed. The code's down in the description, so please check it out. We'll give this a few minutes, and I'll be back hopefully with some big, large, fluffy flavors. So we've waited about 6 to 8 minutes on the startup. That's the usual sort of startup for MustHave in just general sessions of mine. I'm just going to give a quick sort of cursory feel of the bowl. Yeah, that's definitely to temp. Let's just get into it, shall we? Yeah. As you can see, big fluffy clouds and flavoursome clouds as well. A lot of the time people ask me about MustHave, or when they have done so in the past, they've always said, how'd you get it to work, man? Because it's too coarse for me, I'm getting a throat kick. I'm not getting any of that. I am a seasoned smoker, but my aim is to tame the tobacco so that I can enjoy the flavour and get the nice big fluffy clouds, but also get a robust smoke. And you get that with MustHave doing it this way, in my opinion. In terms of the flavour, it's everyone's got their favourite MustHave flavour. It's either this or kiwi smoothie. I thought I'd go for this though because it is such a unique flavour. A lot of the Russians they've had they've had to stab at this kind of flavour profile. This is a tropical blend space flavour with a lovely rose in the backdrop. It just gives it a nice earthy floral note, just cut through all the sweetness of those tropicals. There's lychee in there, and lychee and rose is just a natural killer combination that many of us enjoyed, myself included. It is a superb flavour and one that I would recommend people trying if they have access to it. I also like kiwi smoothie. I probably think kiwi smoothie is my personal favourite because I've done various mixes of it. It always seems to come up. It's not just the kiwi, because I don't generally gravitate to kiwi flavours. It's the single green apple that you get in that flavour, which is just so delightful and crisp. This flavour is also another stellar flavour from MustHave. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. There's all kinds of mixes you can do. You're welcome to add some cooling to it. You can fluff in a bit of frosty from MustHave. In terms of cooling, I prefer Supernova. And if I was to do that dark side in a funnel, I'll probably go for more of a semi-dense, maybe a heavy normal pack. But whenever I'm mixing MustHave, I always keep to this sort of density. And I'll demonstrate that. There are a few things I've tried. I've done Tangiers and MustHave mixed together, and I think that's a good one that I want people to try. You wouldn't think that fluffing Tangiers works, but with this brand, it becomes this kind of like cohesive tobacco, which works beautifully on that particular pack method, which I will cover in the fullness of time. For now, I'm just enjoying this session. It's the rig, the draw is just nice and neutral. Suits the whole pattern that I've opted for. I'm gonna keep smoking, guys. Hope you guys don't mind. Highly recommend people try this method. It might not be for you, and that's okay, and that's what's beautiful about the hobby. There is a subjective element to it. Objectively, I think this is a good pack. I think it's one that many can enjoy. So by all means, give it a go. If anyone's got any queries or questions about this particular brand, others that you guys want to see, let me know via DM on Instagram if you want to put something in the comments. That's also great. First video tutorial here, and hopefully there'll be more to come. Thanks for your time, guys. I'll see you soon. All the best.